Southwest Licking Board of Education to order. It is Monday, January 13th, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. I'd like to recognize our visitors, both here and online. And if you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, let's read the meeting notice.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'll read the whole meeting notice. Let's see here. That's what happens. That's why they kicked me out, so I cannot do this. Okay, notice of Board of Education organizational and regular meeting in accordance with Ohio Revised Code. Notice is hereby given that an organizational meeting of the Southwest Licking Local School District Board of Education, Fairfield and Licking Counties, Ohio is scheduled to be held on Monday, January 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The organizational meeting will be held in the Southwest Licking Local School District Board Meeting Room. The regular January board meeting will immediately follow. Good enough? Okay. Mr. Jones, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Spindler,
Here.
Mr. Vincent,
Here.
Mr. Zani,
Here.
Mrs. Engel.
Here. We need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, first order of business, we need a motion to select a president for 2025.
I motion John Vincent be president, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Abstain.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. You want to do a vice president, or would you like to go ahead and do that?
Go for it.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, I need a motion to select a vice president for 2025, please.
Motion for Mrs. Deborah Moore as vice president.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Abstain.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Chair.
All right.
Do you want me to slide over?
Do you want to?
Sure.
slide over and I'll go over there?
We'll rearrange furniture for a second.
I know.
Musical chairs.
Yep.
Is that yours?
Yeah, I moved your computer over. We're good. All right.
Like way over here.
All right. We're still buddies, seat buddies. And thank you, Mrs. Engel. Appreciate. All right, guys. We need to set the dates for the time and place for our meetings this year. Traditionally, we've done the third Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock, but
I move to continue with the third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. in this room.
Second.
discussion, I have one piece. July is a 5-Thursday month, and the third Thursday of July, I will not be here. So I was wondering if July, if we could do the 4th Thursday, if that would work with everyone's schedule.
It likely won't work with mine,
Okay.
but if it's one of us will just have to be missing, I'm guessing.
I think I'm on vacation that week too.
On the 24th? Okay, well, we'll just keep
But I
it
mean,
as,
Tan can sit in for me as well.
what doesn't?
Deb can sit in for you guys.
Deb can sit in for me, we're fine. All right, we'll just, as is fine. All right. Any other discussion? Mr. Jones, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. That passes. We will move on to resolutions. I believe we can take all of them in 5 together.
Yeah, I motion to approve 5A through N, please.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. Those pass. We'll move on to our resolutions under 6. I think we could take all of those as well.
Motion to approve 6A through D.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. Okay, those move on. Those pass. We'll move on to 7. I think we can take all those together as well.
Motion to approve 7A through F.
Second.
Mr. Jones, sorry. Get with the program here.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. Those all pass. We'll move on to, I think we'll have to take these separately. 8A.
Motion to approve Mr. Vincent as delegate and Mrs. Moore as alternate to the Ohio School Boards Association Annual Conference.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. Okay, 8B. We need a legislative liaison and alternate to OSBA.
Is that normally the same too?
Is that the same too?
Usually it's been different.
Yeah.
Has it?
For some reason, I thought that was you.
I'm a student achievement.
Your student achievement. I knew it was one of them.
I was
Okay.
student achievement this year.
Oh, you were?
I was.
All right.
Maybe I just got that because of being board president too then.
Yeah.
Let me look and see.
Whatever.
So who would like to be legislative liaison?
Yes.
I can do that if you.
Sure.
Me last year.
All right. And the alternate?
Yeah, it was Engel was the legislative liaison and alternate was John. Yep.
I thought, yeah, because I thought after this time you went back to go vote.
I did go vote, yeah.
Okay.
But that's the delegate.
Right.
I can be the alternate again.
Yeah.
So the motion on the floor is Candy as the liaison, Vincent, or me as the alternate. That's the motion on the floor, I believe.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Who moved it? Did you
Candy.
Candy moved it? Okay.
I will move it, that's fine. I don't know if I
Okay.
officially did, but yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Right. Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes, and then finally we have 8C. We need a designate liaison for student achievement.
I'm fine doing that again if no one else wants it.
So are you moving yourself?
I mean,
Yeah.
can we move ourselves?
Yeah.
I'll move
Yeah.
Mrs. Spindler as the student achievement liaison for the OSBA.
Okay. Second? I'll do the second.
Second.
Roger's got it.
Okay,
All
Roger.
right. Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. All right, we are good. We're now moving on to the Tax Incentive Review Council. We need to designate a liaison, and I believe that traditionally has been Mr. Jones. So I'll go ahead and move that.
Second.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. I now need a motion for adjournment.
Do we not normally appoint representatives to the advisory groups during this meeting?
We don't have advisory groups anymore.
Okay,
They're going away.
got it.
Yep.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Zani.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes, we are adjourned at 6:11.